What's good, y'all? It's your boy Sean Peter Blunt Guy. Hey! And we're back with another One Piece reaction. So today we will be reacting to a good friend of mine, Den Kushi. In the video today we will be reacting to is called The Void Century Is Not What You Think, a World Stuck in a Cycle. Now before we get into this reaction, make sure you guys hit that like button. Also subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, comment down below your thoughts on the video, your thoughts on my reaction. Let me know what did I get right, what did I get wrong. Also make sure you follow me on Twitch so you can catch me live and you can engage with me in real time. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook if you want to get at me directly. And even better, if you want to get at me directly, make sure you follow me on Discord. That's usually where I'm the most active. If you want to send me content to react to or join a possible discussion stream, you must be a member of the Discord. All of these will be in the description box down below, as well as the video we are reacting to. So yeah, like I said, the video we are reacting to today is from Den Kushi, and it is titled "The Void Century Is Not What You Think, a World Stuck in a Cycle." So yeah, and also, based on the title in the thumbnail, which says inherited will doesn't mean freedom, something along that line. I don't remember off the top of what it says. It almost sounds like Luffy, like it's all fate, right? It's all a cycle. Like Luffy is pretty much repeating the same cycle that maybe Roger did. Roger's repeating the same cycle that Joy Boy did. And maybe there was some in between, in the middle between, which I've brought this point up before, right? That I don't believe Luffy is the first, you could say, Joy Boy, the first, or I don't want to say the first Joy Boy. I don't think he's the only person to inherit the will of Joy Boy. I think there's been many other quote unquote Joy Boys in the history of One Piece. Roger being one of them. I think Roger was a Joy Boy. I think he was what I called a failed Joy Boy. Like you could say his cycle, right? His cycle didn't consist of the ancient weapons. Poseidon wasn't born at the time, right? And we don't really know too much about Uranus and Pluton, but we know that Poseidon, he was too soon for Poseidon. Poseidon, I think, was going to come a long way after the death of Roger. So he couldn't be the one to break this cycle, So, and I think there was plenty other Joy Boys who were always either too early or they were always too late to actually succeed at Joy Boy. Whatever Joy Boy's goal was, that could be to break this cycle that Den Kushi is going to talk about today. I think that Luffy is going to be the one to break this cycle. Now I don't know if every single event like Joy Boy's time could have been a little different. His time could have been where the cycle started or like sometime after. But I think things could have been a little different in Joy Boy's era compared to Luffy's era. But I can kind of see what Den Kushi is getting at. I don't know for sure. This is just kind of my own speculation. So we're going to get into this video. So yeah, let's get into it.
Did you know every 38 years an incident occurs that shakes the entire One Piece world? How does this connect to the Will of D and the Void Century? Today I'm going to be taking everything I've learned so far about the One Piece world and throwing it into one
Let me rewind now. I want to catch what he said.
Every 38 years an incident occurs that shakes the entire One Piece world. How does this connect to the Will of D and the...
Where'd you get that? Because O'Hara wasn't O'Hara like 20 years ago? You know, O'Hara was about 20 years ago. I'll wait because I'm like 30, 38. I never caught that number. No, I never caught that number.
The Void Century. Today, I'm going to be taking everything I've learned so far about the One Piece world and throwing it into one short video explaining what is really going on with Emu behind the scenes and how inherited will plays a key role. So like, sub, and let's get into it. We're going to unravel a curse.
And I want to say, like you said, inherited will isn't necessarily freedom, right? I do agree with that statement. I do agree. You said it's a curse. I don't know if I think it's a curse, but I think it's kind of a form of, I guess you can say a curse, right? I think it's a form of imprisonment. It's a form of imprisonment because you're imprisoned by fate, right? Like if Luffy was already fated to be Joy Boy, you know, that was pretty much his destiny or his fate, whichever one you want to call it. Is that really freedom? Is that really free? He didn't choose to be that. It's like he was already chosen to do that. You know, it's like being on a train track, right? Like you look at it, think about a train, right? Think of fate. I was talking to a friend about this yesterday. He's like a religious guy, right? And we talk about, we talk about these things, right? And I was talking about like how fate is kind of like being on a train track, right? Like it's like you're a train and fate is the tracks, right? Like you're stuck to. It's not like a car where a car you could go anywhere. You could go left, you could go right, you could turn around, you could do anything, right? A train though is confined to being on a track though, you know. So you can only go wherever the track leads you, and if Luffy is destined to be Joy Boy, then he's not really as free as you would think because he's stuck on this train tracks of fate. You know what I mean? Which I guess you could call that a curse. You can look at that as a curse.
In the One Piece world so powerful even Blackbeard couldn't avoid it. I recently noticed during Egghead a secret that changes how we interpret the past and how we can predict the future. During the arc, it was revealed that this part of history.
Bringing up Blackbeard, bro. What if Blackbeard realizes that and he's trying to break that curse? You know what I'm saying? Like he's trying to actually, because we know, because I always say I look at Luffy and Blackbeard as two separate individuals of freedom, right? Like they believe in two types of freedom. Blackbeard is more of an extreme level of freedom. Like his freedom is like true freedom. I believe Blackbeard's freedom is true freedom, where Luffy's freedom is more like somewhere in the middle of order and freedom. If you look at order and chaos, chaos is like free. Like chaos is like true freedom. Order isn't freedom, right? Luffy believes in freedom, but he's more like in the middle, where he's more like on the side of freedom, but somewhere closer to the middle of chaos and freedom. Somewhere closer to that. Where Blackbeard is true chaos. It's like chaos, where it's like do whatever you want. You could kill people, you can hurt people, you could do whatever you want. That is true freedom. That's why it's like anarchy, right? Like it's like you could do whatever you want, whether you're hurting people for your own gain or what. Luffy's somewhere more like freedom with some aspect of order. You know, like I don't think Luffy wants people to hurt other people, and you know he wants people to be able to live their life without hurting them. You know what I'm saying? Or without hurting each other and oppressing people. So, you know, I think it's two different types of freedom, and Blackbeard could be trying to break this cycle. So, is Blackbeard the true hero? Could we say that? I would say not, because, you know, I don't think nobody want to live in a world with true freedom. You know, that's true freedom ain't really good for society. You know, it's not as good as some people would think it is. You know, you want a little order, because true freedom could bring upon a lot of bad stuff that a lot of people wouldn't want, you know. So a lot of you anarchists, I mean, I think some anarchists understand that, but I think a lot of anarchists or people who believe in anarchy don't really understand that aspect.
History is known as the Egghead Incident. So that's present day. 38 years before this, we had the God Valley Incident. 38 years before that, we had the incident where Sister Carmel freed the giants, possibly at the same location. Stick around.
What? I gotta rewind that. I gotta rewind that because
Changes how we interpret the past and how we can predict the future.
And are we not including O'Hara in this? Are we not including O'Hara in this? Because you got to understand, O'Hara was an incident that shaped the world, right? And I don't think that was 38 years ago. But he said God Valley happened 38 years before the Egghead incident that's currently about to happen, right? In the present day story. And then you said Mother Caramel helped the giants 38 years before the God Valley incident. You know what? I think you're right. Matter of fact, you're right. Cause I was like, damn, that was a long freaking time ago. Cause Big Mom was a child during that time. Or no. Big Mom wasn't. I don't think Big Mom was even born. Maybe she was born, but she was like, no, she wasn't born. Cause she was old by the time she brought in Big Mom. And this was during Mother Carmel's young age, right? So, and Big Mom during the God Valley incident was an adult. That makes sense. Okay, I was trying to get the timing together. It wasn't adding up. It wasn't adding up in my mind at the moment. But I think you're right.
Noticed during Egghead a secret that changes how we interpret the past and how we can predict the future. During the arc, it was revealed that this part of history is known as the Egghead Incident. So that's present day. 38 years before this, we had the God Valley Incident. 38 years before that, we had the incident where Sister Carmel freed the giants, possibly at the same location. Stick around until the end of the video and you'll soon learn who's been behind this 38-year time loop and has been for the past 800 to 900 years.
So does O'Hara not count though? Cause you gotta think about it, bro. Like O'Hara did, and O'Hara, like adding O'Hara would possibly mess up the timeline. But O'Hara was a very pivotal. I would say O'Hara done more to shape the current story than Mother Caramel. You know what I'm saying? I would say that. But, that just I guess it wouldn't be consistent with the theory.
Firstly, we need to look at what situations have repeated themselves so far. For example, we know Marineford is a direct parallel to what we are seeing right now in Hachinosu. One of the more popular theories on this channel is that Marineford was a repeat of the God Valley incident. So is Hachinosu going to be another case of this same time loop? Also, we see the case with inherited will. Oda has made it clear to us that significant wills and dreams have been passed down over generations, sometimes with hundreds of years going by until the dream is fulfilled. This is
Marineford, God Valley. I don't know. I just don't think we have enough info on God Valley to make that type of mirror. I mean, I guess you could speculate. I'm not, there's nothing wrong with the speculation on connecting them two. But or even Marineford and Full Lead. Like, I don't know if I would even compare those two. Marineford was a whole ass war, right? Where we got two important characters that died. I mean, Full Lead, we could get like a death of Garp or something, but I don't think the scaling of Full Lead just doesn't make it match with the scale of Marineford, in my opinion.
This is what we see with the Will of D. Devil fruits are redistributed after death, meaning they too have a cyclical nature. This idea of cycles is something Oda has highlighted in potentially the most important SBS of all time. But anyway, let's take a deeper look at some of the more significant events that seem to be stuck on repeat. Starting with the Void Century, we have a time frame of 800 to 900 years, around which time we know Joy Boy was about. Also then, we have the flooding of Wano, the construction of the Iron Giant, creation of the ancient weapons, destruction of Shandora, and the building of the Noah. 800 years later, Luffy, who we know has inherited Joy Boy's will, visits Wano, sees the Iron Giant on the ancient island of Egghead, meets the ancient weapon Poseidon, discovers Shandora, and takes on the Noah. This is why Charlie was seeing someone with a straw hat destroy Fishman Island and assumed it was Luffy. She saw...
No. Hold on. Let me rewind that. Cause when Madam Shirley seen someone, like when she seen Luffy do that, she was predicting exactly what was going to happen. I 100% believe that. She is predicting 100% of what's going to happen. Luffy is definitely going to destroy Fishman Island, and that's going to happen when Luffy destroys the red line right above Fishman Island. Is going to destroy Fishman Island indirectly. You know what I'm saying? So she was right. I don't think she was seeing the past. I think she was seeing Luffy destroy Fishman Island through destroying the red line. But let me catch what you said again, because I might have missed something.
The Iron Giant...
You was talking pretty fast, so it was hard to catch everything you said.
On the ancient island of Egghead, meets the ancient weapon Poseidon, discovers Shandora, and takes on the Noah. This is why Charlie was seeing someone with a straw hat destroy Fishman Island and assumed it was Luffy. She saw Joy Boy's will. Also,
I think I didn't rewind it fast enough.
Also then, we have the flooding of Wano, the construction of the Iron Giant, creation of the ancient weapons, destruction of Shandora, and the building of the Noah. 800 years later, Luffy, who we know has inherited Joy Boy's will, visits Wano, sees the Iron Giant on the ancient island of Egghead, meets the ancient weapon Poseidon, discovers Shandora, and takes on the Noah. This is why Charlie was seeing someone with a straw hat destroy Fishman Island and assumed it was Luffy. She saw Joy Boy's will. Also, we have Ryuma and Zoro having an 800-year connection.
I'm a little confused on how seeing Joy Boy's will... Like, are you saying that she's seen Joy Boy destroy Fishman Island back in the day? I'm a little confused at where you're getting at on that one.
Toki jumping forward 800 years, Sunisha's punishment starting 800 years ago, and the Gomu Nomi was active. If we want to get really crazy, check out how many moons were on the orrery at Ohara. 8. Now there's only 1. Maybe one was destroyed every 100 years for some reason. Anyway, it's not a coincidence these situations...
I wonder if they are moon or if they are moons or if they're planets. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, because some people believe that they could be planets. I'm not sure though. You know, like that'd be a weird world, right? If the One Piece world where it's like the other planets revolve around Earth, you know, which would be weird because, like, you know, our solar system, all the planets revolve around the sun. But I kind of have my own speculation that Eem could be the Earth God. And it would make sense that in his case, if he is the Earth God, that all the other celestial bodies revolve around him instead of like our solar system revolving around the sun, you know?
Situations repeat themselves 800 years later, and all within a couple of years of each other. An important example is the weird changes we see in sea levels that occur frequently throughout history. We don't know much, but we know Alabasta is a desert with a raised capital, suggesting their sea level is currently low. Wano has water levels that are so high the residents rebuilt their city on higher ground. And finally, Tom wanted to turn Water 7 into a ship due to rising tides threatening the inhabitants of the island. Long Ring Longland illustrates the flooding theme, with people segregated.
That's kind of like, I remember, that just reminds me of a theory that I heard about, because I think there was something stated about a great cleansing, right? A great cleansing, and that cleansing possibly being like a flood, partially why you got the Noah, right? Like in the Bible, if you know the story about Noah's Ark in the Bible, God called upon Moses to build an ark. Right, he called upon Moses to build this ark, and Moses was trying to tell everybody like, "Hey, there's gonna be this big flood. There's gonna be this big flood," but nobody believed him. And you know, the world was kind of at like in a bad place at that moment. Like it's just a lot of chaos, according to the Bible, right? A lot of sin, all that stuff. So God was trying to cleanse the world, right? And Moses brought his family upon the ark, and he brought like a bunch of animals. Like he brought like two of every animals, a male and a female. He brought two of every animals to join the ark in order to ensure the survival of each of these animals and their species. So yeah, I think we know Oda takes a lot of influence off of like religion, like the Bible or Christianity, Hinduism, all these different religions. So, we know that there's an arc. We know that there's an arc. So,
from each other at certain times of the year due to changing tides. The theme of flooding will likely be brought back around, with the Noah being used to save entire populations. There are far more subtle examples as well, such as broken horns. The breaking of a horn is symbolic in myth for the overthrowing of power, which we see with the Iron Giant, Kaido, Onigashima's skull, Ja Rule, and the bull Luffy rides on during the Colosseum fight. So we see the physical act repeat itself over decades. Notice giants always have ties to ice. We see giants frozen during Thriller Bark, and a frozen Oars there too. The Yeti Cool brothers are two giants guarding an ice island, and Sol was frozen by Akiji. So with all these repeating occurrences, what could explain such a phenomena?
Man, you making me remember a theory, one of my last theories I did about ice giants. And that was about those creatures that we've seen in the Florian Triangle. Like content creator Tainted Mirth, he made a video about those things that we seen in the Florian Triangle being ice giants, and that's why they was able to create that fog. Because I'm no scientist or weatherologist or whatever, but I guess when you get changes in air pressure and all that stuff, because of the temperature, it could create like fog or something. I don't know the math. I don't know the science behind it. But y'all go check that video out. I don't know if I dropped it yet. I'm gonna probably have to drop it this week. Matter of fact, I might drop it today, if I didn't drop it last week. So
we can look at Oda's core theme of inherited will to explore further. There's a mysterious power in the One Piece world where ideals, dreams, and souls can reappear within individuals and locations over time. For example, Enel looks similar to a person depicted on the moon murals, and it turns out he happens to have the Devil Fruit ability required to activate the city's energy sources, which in turn revives the automata stationed there. It's even weirder that the automata are even up there to begin with. After the death of Tsukimi, meaning Moonwatcher, his own automata went to the moon to avenge him. This isn't coincidence. There's certainly threads within One Piece using subplots to tell the tale of a cycle occurring deeper in the story. But what if this mysterious cycle is in fact a curse? Maybe the will of D is in fact a burden. I theorize inherited wills can't properly rest until they're fulfilled, rather than your will moving on to the trees, like we see in the One Piece world. Instead, your will or soul is bound to return. This would explain why, except for places Luffy's visited, the majority of the world.
That's a good point. I like how you I really like how you explain that. It's like your will is pretty much, it's like you're almost, your will is tethered to this world until the job gets completed. Like that's, I guess, just to paraphrase what you said, your will or your soul is tethered to this world until it gets completed. And it only really makes me believe it, and believe more about my theory about how there's been multiple Joy Boys. Like I think I also, what another character I believe could have been a Joy Boy, could have possibly been a Joy Boy, Nolan Montblanc, right? I think Nolan might have been a Joy Boy. It's just, again, he failed. He possibly failed. And I also think, just like there's a Joy Boy, I think there might also be a antithesis, like an enemy of Joy Boy, like a antagonist of Joy Boy whose job is to ensure that Joy Boy continues to fail so he doesn't break the cycle. And I think Blackbeard might be that. Maybe Rocks Zebek, or maybe neither. Maybe it's Eam. Maybe Eam is the only antithesis, because Eam is still alive, so Eam wouldn't have been able to pass that will on to somebody else, especially since Eam is alive. But that will also feed into my idea that Eam is also a prisoner as well. Like Eam is a prisoner to her or his fate, you know. Because I've said that I think Eam is a prisoner because Eam can't go nowhere. Eam has to keep its secret around. I don't even know. We don't even know how long Eam been around, right? Eam could have been around for before the Void Century, and just imagine being around since the Void Century or even before, and you can't even leave the castle because you got to keep your identity secret at all times. Bro, that's a curse. That is a curse. But Ian might feel as though he or she has to continue to prevent this cycle from succeeding because maybe Ian believes that if it succeeds that it doesn't bring on a good thing, according to Ian and the Gorosei.
World has no recollection of Joy Boy. Emu is trying to stop Joy Boy's will from returning. This ties into what we hear about people being forgotten in the world. Impel Down, level 6, is where the worst are sent to be forgotten, which is an important feature too, but I'll touch on that later. So this leads us to ask why and how the power of inherited will even started. Vegapunk was researching technology of the highest secrecy, ultimately discovering mysteries that led to the world government attempting to finish him. These secrets we know involve poneglyphs, objects that are imbued with will, which we know from the voices they emit, heard by very few characters. We know they're indestructible, but somehow Wano stonemasons had a way of carving them. I say somehow, but I'm pretty confident the masons used haki, which is a manifestation of will in the One Piece world. This is identical to the Great Adam Tree, which is indestructible, yet we know has had wood carved from it, found on the black market and used to build powerful ships. Why can Adam wood only be found?
Yeah, I agree. I believe objects can be imbued with haki. I think swords, same with swords. You know, like I think the Masons had like they possibly had like Conqueror's haki, able to infuse their will into the the stone, right? But then you also could look at like swordsmiths, like Kuzabaru, right? He made Enma and he made the Wado Ichimonjo. And he even explains how swords they pretty much have wills. Like they choose, like especially cursed swords, their cursed swords are super picky about who they choose to wield them, right? So I think that the swordsmith they make the cursed swords, or they make the swords curse by infusing their will, their passion and their will into this sword, which manifests as its own will, and then it's up to the swordsman to conquer that will and put their will into the sword. That's how you get black swords, right? That's possibly how you get black swords. So yeah, I agree with that statement.
On the black market, it's because Emu wouldn't want anyone getting their hands on material that's imbued with will, I think, because these are the traces of the ancient kingdom Emu's trying to hide. I believe these will store information, key to returning the world to the balance. Quite literally what we see with poneglyphs. An even better example is the island of Ohara, a nation renowned for its knowledge of history. I believe the tree itself provided the scholars of Ohara with the information that made up their huge library, ironically found within the tree of Ohara itself. Crocus knew the name of the ancient kingdom, and for almost saying it out loud, he was deleted by the world government. So if Emu is trying to suppress the inherited will and hide the ancient kingdom, this suggests it's not Emu that put this curse on the world to begin with. Or was it? I think Emu inadvertently triggered the ancient kingdom's greatest technology in the wake of their defeat, a machine that somehow binds will to earth, a last-ditch attempt from the ancient kingdom to ensure the world is flipped the right way. This means wills are inherited until Laughdale is reached and used to free the world. Upon realizing this, Emu created the world government to find
I think, I don't know if I would say Emu triggered it. I would probably say that it could have been Joy Boy, like the original Joy Boy, that triggered it, or possibly Nika, because Nika could be really the original Joy Boy. Like Nika, I believe that Nika possibly came before Joy Boy, and Nika probably was the original Will, possibly. I don't know, but I like using Joy Boy because the name Joy Boy just sounds like a code name, right? Because Joy Boy could have been the name of Nika. It could have been like the code name of Nika. We don't really know. But I think Joy Boy might have cursed. He might have started this curse in order to ensure that his will eventually prevails. Like maybe he put the curse on Eam and said, I will continue to come back and back. I will continue to come back until I succeed. And then that's what started the curse. Cause Joy Boy was like, I'm never gonna die until I succeed.
Find and destroy any trace of the ancient kingdom and its technology. The symbol of which is this, a manipulation of Joy Boy's symbol I've discussed many times, but more on that here. So how can we be certain Emu's aware that wills keep returning? We know this because Oda further shows it with the 4 posters Emu is seen with. Blackbeard not only has the Earth God fruit, but has countless ties to Zebek's will. Luffy as Joy Boy's will is illustrated by the...
Hey, I don't think Blackbeard has the Earth God fruit, man. I think Eam is the Earth God, man. Honestly, like, I'm sticking to that. And why do I say that, right? Why do I know I've kind of beaten this dead horse before, but with the introduction of Saint J Garcia being Saturn, it just made me think, right? We got all these planets, right? We got all these planets. Just think of it from a planetary scale, right? And we also know celestial dragons, celestials. They also call planets celestials. You know, celestials can also be looked at as gods, right? The ancient weapons are named after planets as well. We got Pluto or Pluton, named after Pluto. We got Uranus, named after the planet Uranus. Poseidon isn't named after planet, right? It's not. But Poseidon, in Greek mythology, the name, if you convert it to Roman mythology, Poseidon would be called Neptune. Right? Neptune. And all the gods, all the Greek gods in Roman mythology are named after planets. So again, we got Pluto, Mercury, or not Mercury. We got Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, right? Now we got introduced to a Gorosei member. His name is Saturn. So that's what, four planets out the way. So we could also have Jupiter, which in Greek mythology would be Zeus. Mercury, Venus, Mars. Right? That's Saturn, Jupiter, Mercury, Venus, Mars. Right? I think there's 5 celestial dragons or Gorosei members, 5 of them. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's 5 of them, right? So what does that leave left? That leaves the sun and earth. Luffy having the Nika devil fruit or the sun god devil fruit, right? We kind of look at Luffy as the sun god. Luffy would probably be the embodiment of the sun, leaving Earth, right? Leaving Earth. Now, I guess you could argue Blackbeard. I would probably say Blackbeard could be the moon, possibly. But I would go as far as say it would probably be Eam to be the Earth. Eam possibly being the Earth. And possibly being the Earth God. One of the only named gods of the series that we've seen. It's 4 of them. We got Sun God, Forest God, Rain God, Earth God, right? Luffy, I would think, is going to be the Sun God. I don't know who's going to be the Forest God. I don't know who's going to be the Rain God. Earth God. I don't think it's going to be Blackbeard. I think Eam is going to be the Earth God, though. You know. But could be Blackbeard as well. But I would definitely put Eam in there in the planetary thing over Blackbeard, though.
The heartbeats making the same sound, the beat of liberation, Shirahoshi has Poseidon's will, as we know, and finally Vivi, I've speculated, has Emu's will. Additionally, in Marijois, there's a room artificially kept cold or even frozen, inside a straw hat under Joy Boy's symbol I mentioned earlier. This demonstrates Emu acknowledging the return of Joy Boy's will that she had been anticipating. We see Emu knows to keep the room cold, which is where we bring back the Impel Down stuff. Basically, cold and heat affect wills and souls in One Piece. Cold preserves will, as we see with Ayakichi's ice ice time capsule freezing Sol and preserving the will of Ohara. It's why level 5 of Impel Down is frozen. It prevents the wills of level 6 from having the strength to break out and have their names remembered by the world again. Heat does the opposite. For example, in Wano we saw the lanterns lifted by flames sending messages to the souls of the dead. I've detailed this before with more examples in this video, but what's important to remember here is cold freezes wills, prevents them from moving on, hence why Emu keeps Joy Boy's hat in a freezer. Heat, however, defrosts these wills, making them active again. I think Emu discovered this information about how to manipulate wills after defeating the Ancient Kingdom.
My question about that hat though, right? We know Eam had that hat because it shows some level of importance. But where did the other straw hat come from? You know what I'm saying? If that is, let's say that hat is the original straw hat of the original Joy Boy, where did the other straw hat come from? Is it like maybe did they take some of the straw from the big straw hat to make a smaller straw hat? Like maybe somebody broke in there and they couldn't take the full hat, so they just took like a chunk of straw from that hat and created a smaller straw hat that's easier to carry around, and it could be worn by somebody of like of the average size. You know, I'm genuinely curious because I believe that there's a lot of history. I hope we get like a flashback of the straw hat. You know what I'm saying? I know it's an inanimate object, but I want to see who had it before Goldie Roger, who gave it to Goldie Roger. You know what I'm saying? And of course we know that Shanks eventually had it, and then Luffy had it. I always say there's two types of people who wear the straw hat. There's two individuals who wear the straw hat. There is the person who is meant to carry the will, and then there's the person who's meant to select the person to carry the will. So the person that's meant to carry the will of the straw hat in Joy Boy, and then there's the person who is to choose that person or find that person. You know what I mean? So Roger and Luffy would be the people who are meant to carry the will of the straw hat. But Shanks, I don't think Shanks is meant to carry that will. But he is meant to find that person that is meant to carry the will. And he did, right? And he did in two ways. He gave Luffy the straw hat, right? And he also gave Luffy, he didn't give Luffy, but in a sense he kind of did give Luffy the Gummo Gummo no Mi, or the Hito Hito model Nika, right? I think the devil fruit in the straw hat both chose Luffy, but Shanks was meant to transfer those two things to Luffy. He transferred it from Roger to Luffy, at least the straw hat, not the devil fruit. But yeah, I think Shanks' meeting with Luffy was fated, or it was destined to happen.
From their technology. It's possible that the technology being used to curse the world and bind wills to Earth involves ice or cold as well. So will the Straw Hats break this curse? There's many references to flames in the story at the moment, mostly tied to Ohara. Killer Soul, Saturn all share burn marks, and events like the Ohara incident are shown to be very fiery. But what I want to bring up is what the genius Vegapunk spoke about, an ancient technology called the Eternal Flame. Shaka stated it was an energy source that could upend the modern world. It was also said that the whole of Egghead, which is also an ancient island, runs on fire. Now, Roger's descendant was Ace, a baby that was hunted in a world government purge. Evidence Emu was trying to suppress inherited wills, specifically the will of D. Ace survived and wanted to get the mirror. Yes, Roger's son had the flame fruit. This again isn't coincidence. Ace was thought by Roger to be destined to become...
I'm glad you brought up that ancient flame, man. I'm genuinely glad you brought that up, because it's one of them things I believe is important, and I think it's going to be necessary in order to accomplish. Like I think you're going to need the ancient weapons, right? By the end of the series, I think we're going to need the ancient weapons, and we might need the ancient flame in order to ensure that the ancient weapons work to their full capacity. You know, is the ancient flame the One Piece though? Is it, or is it part of the One Piece? because One Piece could be multiple things, right? Like I've said that I think when we find the One Piece, when we get the Laugh Tale and find the One Piece, I think there's going to be a poneglyph there. Like it's going to be the ultimate poneglyph, right? And on this poneglyph, it's going to have instructions on how to accomplish Joy Boy's goal or how to complete Joy Boy's will. And I think what it's going to say is we got to destroy the red line, right? And in destroying the red line, we're going to need the ancient weapons. And we might need the eternal flame, right? And when you destroy the red line, because when you look at the red line, what does it do? It separates the world. It segregates. It segregates the world. One thing we know about Luffy is Luffy brings people together. Luffy brings people together. So how do you bring the world together? You gotta destroy these walls, these dividers that are dividing the world, right? And we got one big divider, and that is the red line, right? In destroying the red line, what else is going to happen, though? What else is going to happen? All this rock is going to fall into the ocean, and we know that the rocks, we know that how big the red line is. It's freaking huge. So if this big chunk of landmass falls into the ocean, it's probably going to bring the water level up as well, which is going to cause a flood. It's going to cause a flood. So that's partially what the arc is going to be for, to help save people. You know what I mean? I also think Uranus's purpose might be to calm the weather down, maybe make the flood go away, change the tide or something. I don't know, right? But every ancient weapon has its purpose, I believe, in this, what I call Project One Piece or whatever. Project One Piece, that we'll probably learn at Laugh Cell. Project One Piece. Pluton destroys the red line. Poseidon uses the Sea Kings to, I don't know, to help save people and whatever. Maybe carry the Noah and everything to save people. Uranus calms down the weather, and because I'm pretty sure the weather might go haywire as well. And which I think the red line causes a lot of the unnatural weather phenomenons that we see in the Grand Line. So yeah. But when you get rid of the red line, I think that will actually bring equilibrium to the world. After destroying the red line, I think it's going to cause a chaotic mess. But when you get everything under control, it's going to eventually bring a equilibrium. That's what I believe. That's kind of my belief. I think Arthur kind of explained this in a video as well. I reacted to that video, but that video that he made, it was either Arthur or O'Hara. It was one of them. The video that theory he made, I agree 100% in that. I'm a believer 100% in that video. It's like the world. I think it's called. It was like a One Piece mega theory. He broke it down in different videos. I don't remember, but I did a reaction a while ago. Like this was like maybe a year or two ago.
Joy Boy, or his incarnation, and made sure he received the flame fruit to activate the eternal flame source himself. Roger likely learned about the eternal flame while at Laugh Tale, which is why he said he wished he lived in Joy Boy's era, the time the last flame was ignited. This indicates that the eternal flame is involved in Roger's will, which was inherited by Luffy. When these significant wills are in the right place at the right time, the wills act as keys, opening an opportunity to the king of the free world, the Pirate King. There will be a true history of the world, including the fact deep within Marijois, the eternal flame is being guarded. Luffy will have a choice to either free the world or plunge it into darkness, a theme presented in countless...
The Eternal Flame being at Marijoa. Didn't think of that one. Kind of like that.
Titles from Game of Thrones to the Bible, usually portraying duality. Luffy will instead make the third choice to return to Marijoa and save Vivu, who I think will be captured by Emu. Blackbeard will cause chaos across the whole globe with Pluton, as I talked about here. After Emu is defeated, the world government will team up with the Straw Hat Grand Fleet to take on Blackbeard and Zebek's enormous power, like in God Valley. The Yami and Gomu are twins.
I like that you said Blackbeard and Zebek. I'm telling you, the return of Zebek, Rocks D Zebek is imminent. Blackbeard is bringing back Zebek, and I feel as though you are a believer as well. You said it, not me. You said Blackbeard and Zebek.
And will likely come together in the greatest clash in One Piece history. I could even see Luffy and Blackbeard working together to beat Zebek at the very, very end. This will cost them both their lives. While their wills and dreams will be realised, Blackbeard would have destroyed the world as we know it. Luffy will have secured liberty for the people of the world. The ultimate purpose of the Gomu. Sabo will then use the mirror to ignite the Eternal Flame on Ace and Luffy's behalf. Vivi will become queen of the world and the final Straw Hat. From here on, souls can move freely to the afterlife, no longer cursed to be inherited. The will of D will finally be fulfilled. Huge trees will grow everywhere, thanks to the help of the whales moving freely throughout the world, and a new dawn will begin. You've been great. Be nice to animals. Peace.
I think I'm pretty nice to animals. Make sure y'all go show Den Kushi some love. Yeah, man. Ultimately, yeah, you said a lot. I probably missed it. I probably missed a good bunch. You was talking pretty fast. Then I will say I couldn't keep up with some of it, but I think we kind of on the same page with a lot of stuff. I do agree that there's been cycles. I think the 38-year cycle. I don't know. Because I think then you would be ignoring O'Hara. You know what I mean? So. Because O'Hara was like 20-something years ago. You know what I mean? And I think O'Hara was just as big of an event as at least God Valley and whatever we're going to get at Egghead soon, right? And I guess Egghead and Lelougia would be kind of dual because they happened in the same year, around the same time, right? So I guess you could say Egghead and Lelougia because you could say Lelougia is within that 38-year mark as well. I don't really know if I would say. I guess can we say that the whole Mother Caramel thing was that important to the. Was it that world changing? Like, I don't know if I would consider it that world changing. I mean, I guess it was a big moment, but I don't know if it like really. I guess for the Giants, I guess you could say, which Giants are an important race, so I guess you could say it was super important. But yeah, and this will almost being tethered to the earth and not actually ever being able to rest in peace. Being a curse, it is. I guess you could consider it a curse. I didn't look at it that way, but you could consider it a curse because I believe Luffy, Roger, possibly Nolan, they all carried the will of Joy Boy, right? And Joy Boy probably tried to accomplish something great but failed. We know he apologized to the fisherman. So he failed in some instance, right? But Luffy is the one I believe that's going to break that curse or break that cycle. If you want to consider the cycle curse, then yeah, break that curse. It's a lot of stuff you said, man. It's definitely a lot of stuff you said. I can't really speak for every single thing you said. But solely on this idea that free will or inherited will being a curse, I do agree with because it's almost like you're stuck in a cycle, the cycle that you say, right? And you're destined, you're bound by destiny. It's not really free will because you're bound by destiny. You're almost destined to, it's like Luffy didn't choose to be this way. He was destined to be this way. You know what I'm saying? Which I always hate the idea of. I never wanted to have a chosen one in One Piece. Like that whole trope that you get in like movies and other TV shows where it's like this person is the chosen one. It's kind of what Luffy is, right? Luffy is indeed the chosen one. But it doesn't like stop my enjoyment of the story overall, so I'm not going to complain. I just don't like that aspect of stories. You know, I think One Piece is doing a good job with it, right? It's never been flat out said like, Luffy, you're the chosen one. You know what I mean? Like you get in a lot of other series where they let you know that you're the chosen one. Even the Matrix, right? Like dude name was Neo. If you rearrange those words, it's one, right? He is the one. You know, he was the chosen one to do what needed to be done, right? Which, you know, that's a whole nother story for a whole nother time, right? But yeah, that's all I got for the video, y'all. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Also subscribe. Hit that bell for notifications. Comment down below your thoughts on the video we just watched. Your thoughts on my reaction. Let me know down in the comments. Also, follow me on Twitch so you can catch me live and you can engage with me in real time. If you want to get at me directly, follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And join the Discord, which is the best place to get at me. And if you want to send me content to react to, or you want to be part of a future discussion stream, you must be a member of the Discord. The link to this video that we just watched will be in the description box, so y'all go show Den Kushi that love. But yeah, that's all I got. It's your boy Sean P, the Bluff God. Now I'm out of here. Peace.